Hello everyone, I hope you're all good and well. Welcome to the first episode of Pokémon Extreme Yellow Author's Playthrough. If you don't know what Pokémon Extreme Yellow is, well, first of all, welcome! You can find a link to the release trailer in the video description for more info, but, shortly said, Extreme Yellow is the solo project I work on for almost 2 years, and is a difficulty hack of Pokémon Yellow which aims to provide an extreme experience all around. More challenging battles, more complex dungeons, more profound plots and character psychology. In this series I will play through the game with my author's knowledge, hence I will show every little secret, mystery and easter egg scattered around, and I will focus on everything that is new or different with respect to the original game. I may skip on secondary trainers I edited only minimally, for example if a bug catcher now has a level 12 Butterfree instead of a level 11 Caterpie, I may not mention every single one of them. All this said, let's dive into this renewed Kanto at its max and beyond, shall we? The very first difference is found at the very beginning of the game, when the famous or infamous question from Professor Oak appears with a slight twist. Instead of being given the choice to play only as a boy or a girl, as it happens from Pokémon Crystal onwards, in Extreme Yellow we can choose a non-binary option too, and me, being non-binary myself, I'll definitely pick it. If you choose boy, you'll play as red, if you choose girl, you'll play as green from the manga, and as you can see, if you choose no, well, you'll play as yellow, again from the manga. The rest of the Oak dialogue already shows some differences with respect to the original. The old professor seems to struggle quite badly remembering the name of their grandkid, but also seems to be quite aware of this issue and ashamed of it. Don't worry, Samuel, we'll help you. Their name is Blue. Once in your room, we find the first Easter egg or reference as you prefer. We're playing Breath of the Wild. This is one of my favorite games of all time, so I wanted to pay homage to it here. If we open our trusted PC, we can find not only the usual potion we expect to find, but also something new. A cheat candy? There's something else new on the walls too. Some more options we can use to personalize our adventure. We'll get back at these and the new item at the very end of the video. Thank you, mandatory dialogue that reminds us to check the options, we will do that in a moment. And yes, we will press A or select to have more info, that's handy actually. For now, let's go downstairs where we can find again something new. A picture of our dad? Did something happen to him? The flowers on the table are not missing anymore some pixels as in the original games, and I restored the scrap sink because why not? The dialogues from the TV and our mom are basically the same as the original, except that I made them gender neutral instead of strictly masculine. Before we can leave the house, our mom reminds us that we can run at any time by holding the usual B button. Thank you, but do people that live in Pokémon games know that they are inside of a game? Well, existential questions aside, let's go outside. That's probably better. Pallet Town looks the same as the one we all know and love, and it is the same for the most parts. Although, the tech enthusiast is now throwing in something new. If we enter the lab, we can find Blue waiting for Oak, as usual, but this version of them is a bit more bitter, maybe? If we talk to their sibling, we can find the first big dialogue change. Blue's parents went missing, and Oak has some condition that is getting worse and worse. Has it something to do with their memory issues? Let's now try to leave the town. Oak stops us in our way and catches a wild, weird Pikachu. We return together to the lab. Here, the interaction between Oak and Blue is more tense than usual. It does look like Oak is seriously struggling to remember Blue's name, and the kid has so much rage and pain within themselves. Eventually, events unfold as the original. Blue snatches Eevee, and we are given the Pikachu that Oak just caught, even if they had another Pokémon ready for Blue. Fun to think we were supposed to start our journey with Eevee. Before we can leave, Blue challenges us. It's time for our first Pokémon Bell. This fight is actually almost unwinnable for 2 reasons. One is what we just saw on screen. Pikachu doesn't follow our orders. The other is that enemies Pokémon have max stat experience and DVs, or in modern terms, if you prefer, EVs and IVs. This gives them an edge that, together with a better AI, contributes to making battles much more challenging. Yes, we indeed lose our very first battle, off to a great start indeed. A triumphant blue leaves the lab. Oak notices how peculiar our Pikachu is and recommends us to check it with their assistants for more info, and also asks us to pick up some parcel for them from Viridian Mart without letting Blue know of it? What may it contain? We check on Pikachu, and dear Arceus, it really seems to hate us. Upon speaking with the aides, we discover that normally Pokémon obey us depending on their level and how many badges we have. But this one Pikachu doesn't care and listens to us only if it likes us. And given the furious reaction from before, this may be tough. This is almost it for the first episode, but before concluding, I'd like to go through the various new options I added in the game as I promised earlier. We have 3 new sets of options in our room. The first is the personalization one. Names allows us to switch between the canon English name, gender-neutral names, for example Mr. Mime's Lobro get new names, and the Romaji transliteration of the Japanese names. Then we have types, which gives us the option to play with altered types. There are some new types that I arbitrarily chose for some specific Pokémon to have. The full list can be found here in-game. Some edits I really like, for examples, are Ninetales being now Fire Ghost, and Starmie being Water Fairy, as well as Dodrio being Flying Ground, and many more actually. Sound is actually just the vanilla option, and honestly is mostly useless. Let's now move to the second set of options, randomization. The name is probably quite self-explanatory. More specifically, we can randomize the wild encounters, the enemy teams, the type effectiveness chart, and the items we find on the ground. Last of the new set is Battle Luck. We can make ourselves more lucky and or our opponents more lucky in 5 different fields. Those are accuracy, damage roll, critical hit rate, additional effects of moves, and duration and severity of the inflicted statuses. Finally, we have the option voice in the start menu. Beside the options present also in the vanilla games, we have the cap option that Oak's aides implicitly mentioned earlier. There are 2 types of caps, obedience cap and level cap. Obedience cap makes it so that all Pokémon above the cap can disobey, while level cap prevents Pokémon above the cap from gaining any experience. There are also 2 difficulties, loose and tight. Tight cap is exactly equal to the next gym leader's ace level, while loose is a few levels above. We will see this again, but it's a good moment to mention how gyms can be challenged in basically any order we want. Another thing we can toggle is the badge boost, i.e. the 12.5% boost that some badges provide to certain stats, as it was in Vanilla, Generation 1 and Generation 2. The level scale option allows to make all opponents scale to our level with some twist. If we choose exact, all enemies will be exactly the level of our strongest Pokémon. Fluctuating is the same, but in a ±2 range. Hard makes our opponents 10% higher level than us, and finally, Impossible sets all enemy to level 100. For an impossible challenge. The very last option is experience gain. If we choose limited, experience will be treated as a resource to be carefully handled throughout the game, because we can gain experience only from the first battle with each trainer. This means rematches and wild battles provide no experience whatsoever. And if we choose nothing, well, as you may expect, no battle provide any experience at all. And with these we covered all the new options. I will play this run with default settings in order to provide a sort of baseline and intended way of playing the game. But what about the weird cheat candy pigeon? Glad you asked! It's a new item I introduced in version 1.3. It is simply a non-consumable rare candy, added to make leveling less cumbersome for those who find it tedious rather than enjoyable. If one wants to play it with the original mechanics, they can throw it away at any time. And this is everything for the first episode of Author's playthrough of Pokémon Extreme Yellow. Please feel free to comment with any suggestion on how I can improve this series. Would you prefer more details, less details, different pacing, more info screen? Leave your comment below. I wish you a beautiful day, and until next time, ciao!